Hello and welcome to another average racing gamer video. Today we'll be doing the Nations Cup round 2 at the special stage Route X, which is the really long oval. So we've got two races for you today, and we will be kicking off with qualifying for the first one. So there we are in the pit lane. We can get out there nice and early. The idea is to be close to someone in front and try and slipstream our way to a good time. But the issue that I found as we went round the outlap was that slipstream's not on qualifying. So it is purely just the speed of your car. So we've used all of our nitros and we've completed our qualifying lap at 146.3, and we are P8. I think we end up P9. There we go, P9. That's not too bad. We're in the pack. Slipstreaming is on for the race, so I think it's just about being in the right place at the right time come the end of the 3 laps. So here we are at the grid, ready, run through the grid, ready to start the race. And something you'll notice very quickly is that most of the cars being used are the Mercedes AMG. There's the odd Bugatti in there. And we're in the Ferrari. But most drivers are using the Mercedes. There's a Pagani. I think there was a Nissan previously. So with the run through the grid sorted, let's get started in today's race. So right from the start we're going to use a bit of nitros just to give ourselves a bit of a boost, get us a bit further up the order. Not going to go mad on it, want to save some for strategic use later in the race. Bit of a knock from the Bugatti behind us. I'll be honest, at this point I still wasn't sure that slipstreaming was a thing, so that's why I'm out to the side. Basically just trying to keep out of trouble, thinking that slipstream's not a thing. We'll soon find out that it is a thing, so I'd have to change my tactics a bit. Using a touch more boost up the hill. So now it becomes obvious that slipstreaming is on for the race, just turned off for qualifying. And even in the slipstream, I'm being left behind. I'm doing 10 miles an hour more than I ever did in qualifying in the slipstream, but the slipstream is not pulling me along. I'm not going fast enough. There's not really going to be a whole lot I can do about this race. I think our only option for even a top 10 finish at this point is a bit of a crash fest. Went a bit wide on the exit of that corner, clocked the barrier. Lost a bit of speed, but so did the two in front, so we get a bit of a run on them. Unfortunately, pulling out of the slipstream has allowed them to gap us slightly. Losing another position, trying to use a bit of boost to try and get me back into the slipstream, trying to get me in a position that I can be dragged along. As you can see, I'm being left for dead. There's another group of cars behind us that's just going to swan past us as if we're standing still. Try and get in this slipstream, pick up a little bit of speed, but not enough to keep us with them. Hugely frustrating. I would have thought that any cars that are available for this race would be of similar performance, but the Ferrari in this case is just not of the same. It's just not competitive with the other cars. From what I've seen, the Pagani and the Bugatti are similar in speed to the Mercedes. I definitely picked the wrong car. Looks good though, chasing the sparks around the banking. So we'll cross the line after lap 1 in 13th after starting 9th and being in the lead at one point. But we'll skip forward to the end. And we did drop to 14th, but someone binned it on the last corner, so we finish 13th. Which is a bit of a irritating result, because there was nothing I could do about that one. So what we'll do is we'll come back, and this time we'll do it in the Mercedes AMG. So once again we'll head into qualifying and see if we can do a better lap time. You may also have noticed in the first race we were in driver rating B, but because we finished outside of the top 10, we've dropped back down to driver rating C. But around this circuit, I don't suppose that matters too much, because there's not a whole lot of driving expertise required for this sort of a race. Which does surprise me a bit that they've used this circuit for a Nations Cup race. But anyway, qualifying, we do a lap time of 4:23 this time, and that puts us in P2, which is about where that lap time would have been previously as well. Yeah, so if they wanted a slipstream race, surely somewhere like Daytona would have been a better choice, rather than just two 10-kilometre straights. But anyway, We move on to our second attempt at round 2. So here we are then for the grid of our second race. And a similar pattern to the first race. Most races are going to be in the Mercedes AMG. That's us in P2. So here we are then at the start, and off we go. And once again we'll use a little bit of boost. My thinking was at this point, if I could use a bit of boost and break the slipstream, we might have a very comfortable, very easy run to the flag. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. And I gave up on that idea pretty quickly. In the end, the OP strategy will become evident as we move through the race. But we are going up the flyover, and we do hold the lead. We have used quite a lot of boost. So as you can see, if you keep an eye on the mirror, we've got the Pagani coming back at us. That'll get ahead of us. We'll drop into his slipstream, but decides to take himself off the circuit. I don't know if that will come up with a penalty or not, so I'm not going to go off the circuit. We get a friendly nudge from the back, which gives us a bit of a speed boost. Much appreciated. Into the bank turn 1. Bit of a nudge there from the guy behind. Bit of a nudge from behind. Two cars getting into it with each other behind us, and the Bugatti spins around. So that's him out of contention for the race. As that RX-7 ahead of us, who's got a 5-second penalty, he'll be out of contention because he'll lose too much time. At the moment, we're in 9th place and only half a second off of the lead. There goes two more, getting into it. Fortunately, we're keeping ourselves out of trouble, and we're up into 4th place. And as you can see, in the slipstream of the cars in front, I am at a much more competitive speed in this car, so we can actually compete for this race. And as you can see, we've broken a second to the car behind, which means that there's a bit of an air gap between us four at the front and those behind. So if we can just work together as a four at this stage of the race, we shouldn't be under any attack from those behind. At this stage of the race, I'm quite happy just to sit behind, as long as I stay in the slipstream of the cars in front. I'm quite happy to sit here, pull out the slipstream, let them get a little bit further in front, back into the slipstream to keep myself in range of my competitors in front. And at this moment, that is going to be my strategy for the remainder of this race. Bit of bumping and grinding between the two in front. Fortunately, the Bugatti ghosts, so we don't lose the car ourselves or force the Bugatti into a spin. We're still all going. And that brings us to the end of lap 1. Bit of a internet lag point there. Fortunately, it didn't cost us too much time. But here's where the OP strategy becomes apparent to me in this race, and it is called bump drafting. As you can see in the mirror, the guy behind just nudges me, gives me a bit of a speed boost, but he's still in my slipstream, so he's getting a slipstream boost, so we're both benefiting from it. So the idea is, at this point, we can do this for the next lap and a half and fight it out at the final corner. Can't tell if he's getting a bit of a bump draft from behind as well. So as we come to the first bank corner on lap 2, the bump drafting will stop as we go around the corner, because it's far easier to lose control of the car while going around the banking. So we're all just going to be just a bit safe going around the banking. Make sure there's no contact with the barrier, no contact with each other. Plenty of space given. Not even halfway through this race yet. And now we can resume drafting and bump drafting each other, which is exactly what I'm about to do here. And get a bit of a bump draft assistance from behind as well. You'd imagine a race like this would be quite boring, just two 10-kilometre straight lines followed by two very easily flat out banked corners. You'd imagine that would be a boring race. However, with 4 of us so close together, working with each other to help us run the race as fast as possible, it is actually, you need to keep your concentration up. You certainly can't let your mind wander for just a minute, because otherwise you could end up in the barrier, or just simply you could end up losing the slipstream. We're getting a little bit close to that at this point. But if that happens, we should be able to make up the ground through the banked corner. But as it happens, it's not something we need to worry about anyway. So back in the lead as we go around the second bank corner. Use a little bit of boost, maybe just to see, can I break away? They were in a line, they weren't getting slipstream off of anyone. Do set the fastest lap of the race. I don't believe that survives until the end of the race. But here they come, back past, and we will resume the bump drafting. Fall in behind the Mercedes. And run like this to the first bank corner. And that was where the concentration was coming in that I was talking about earlier. Got a little bit of a wiggle and came out of the slipstream for not really any reason. But on this occasion we're coming up to the bank corner. I certainly feel more comfortable with no one directly in front of me for a banked corner. So we're down the second straight for the final time, and at some point through since that first banked corner we've lost the Bugatti. Moss, I believe his name was, he was in fourth, he's dropped right down, so then now there's only 3 of us in this league group. So as long as there's no accidents, no crashes, we are guaranteed a podium, which will bring us much needed points in the Nations Cup standings. In round 1 I could only manage a best of 13th, which didn't bring me any points. Here we go into the last minute or so of this race. Come out of this tunnel, round the final bank corner. We've got just over a quarter of our boost available. That could be crucial on the run to the line. Still getting bump drafted. Into the final bank corner. I noticed that my competitor has gone for it, obviously using some of his boost, so I had to respond. Didn't want to use all of it through the bank corner, save it for when we come out the bank corner. But what I imagine has happened here is that he's not used his boost at any point during this race, and he's got the full boost to deploy out of the final corner and across the line. We haven't got anything to challenge him with, and we cross the line and finish in P2. So it's as we started, P1 and P2. But actually in the end that was quite an enjoyable race, and P2, very happy with that. So if you enjoyed that, guys, feel free to like and subscribe to this video, and I'll see you again for more Average Racing Gamer content. Thanks very much, goodbye.